How's it, everybody? We are the Joystick Show. Just so you know, we're back. Your three favorite friends from Hawaii are coming together, like the Ohana we are, to talk about some things we've watched, read, or played. And we're going to stick it to you so hard. So, mahalo for sticking with us. Remember, please like, subscribe, and share the big LSS. And if you fancy what you hear, then do the thing we just talked about, because duh. I'm your co-host, Drake. That's a Thomas.
What's going on, everybody?
And that's a Scott.
How's it?
And today is episode 118, right? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Sick.
Nice.
So we are doing pretty well. We've already got a hundo down. We're about to hit a 2-0 pretty soon. And our topics that we're going to cover today, a lot of trailers. Some cool stuff came out over the course of the days that we weren't here. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Godzilla -1 or -1 or -1, however you like to say that. Echo, the Marvel series coming out pretty soon, and a Shogun on Netflix. Sichumabad that's going to be coming in 2024. We'll also be reviewing some awesome things that we've been reviewing, obviously Gen V and a Loki, and a little bit of Quiz Lady and a Haunting in Venice.
An Invincible Season 2 premiere.
Oh yeah,
and Invincible Season 2 sprinkle that in.
Yeah, just a dash.
Just a dash,
of those
or a
things.
minus, or a negative, depending on how you say it.
Depending on how you want to go, up to you. But why don't we kick it off with the trailers, just because they're short and sweet, and we can ram it in our viewers or listeners' ear holes.
Yeah, real quick. Got to go to BlizzCon. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
You guys, what's your familiarity with Blizzard games?
StarCraft.
Okay, yep.
StarCraft.
That's it. Diablo?
No, what is it?
Diablo, yep.
What's that first-person shooter? Super not familiar, I guess.
Yeah. So you don't know anything? Yeah. No,
Valorant.
Overwatch.
What's the one? Overwatch.
Oh, yeah, Valorant is like, I guess, the competitor to that, but yeah, Overwatch was
Okay,
just
so-
Overwatch?
Okay.
But man, it was cool. Like, if you are interested in any of those games, you definitely should go to that event. It is pretty badass. They go so big. So they had a full, like, it was the Anaheim Convention Center, and then in every major room there was a different game. So like in one room it was Diablo 4, in another room, in actually two rooms, it was Overwatch, and then in the last room was all like Warcraft stuff. So it was like World of Warcraft things. There was like Hearthstone or Hearthstone, which is their mobile card game, and then they have Warcraft Rumble. I don't really know what that is, but it was cool. So each big gigantic conference room-esque place was like devoted to one game. So all that was
sick.
really cool. Met a lot of fun people. Got to hang out with Frank and the rest of the Geek Freaks guys, which was
Nice.
super cool. Yeah, everybody was like so stoked, and they were kind of filling me in, like not knowing anything about any of the Blizzard games except for Diablo, which this made me want to go home and play Diablo right away with all the stuff they're launching for 2024. But people who've been playing World of Warcraft, and I think Frank said he's been playing it for about 15 years, they were fired up. They were like, this is some amazing stuff. So if you like any of those games, definitely go check it out. It's really cool. You can check it out on our social media, the Joystick Show, anywhere on like TikTok or Instagram or Threads or any of that kind of stuff.
Nice. How's the esports?
Dude, the esports. Okay, so I didn't even know what Overwatch was going into this weekend.
Mhm.
I mean, I knew it was like a shooter, but I didn't know a lot about it. The competition was fucking incredible. It really was like one of the coolest things. Like, even counting in some Super Bowls, World Series, NBA Finals, like the final for this competition was one of the most exciting finals I think I've seen in like all of sports.
That's cool.
Wow.
Because an underdog got in, which was like Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They were not projected to be anywhere near the top. China was like the dominant. South Korea was dominant. South Korea got taken out, but China made it through. So it was like literally David versus Goliath. And in the beginning of the match, so it's like 5 different games, China just wiped the floor with Saudi Arabia, and people were like, "Yep, that's how I thought it was gonna go."
Yeah.
And then every round, it started to shift. So the next round, like China barely won. Then the round after that, like Arabia barely beat China. Then
Yeah.
they started to look even better. Then the end, it like to put it in sports terms, it was like if the last game of the finals went out in shootouts, and then the last kick of the shootouts, the team needed to score to win. That's how they pretty much won for
That's
the
awesome.
500,000. People were like
Wow.
clapping, cheering.
Yeah.
The whole stadium was chanting, cheering for China. Like there was a bunch of people who were probably from China there to support this team. And
Mhm.
it like went dead silent. And then all these people I was just kind of rooting for the underdog after a while because these kids seemed like they didn't even expect to be in the finals. And then they won. And it was exciting, man. So if you've ever, man, if you can
It's probably on
familiarize yourself
YouTube,
with the
yeah,
game.
soon.
It was streaming straight to Twitch. So you could
Oh,
watch
okay,
it in
okay.
Twitch as it was happening. But yeah, dude, it was super exciting. And I learned a shit ton about the game by sitting next to Frank and Squeaks and the rest of the guys, and they're like, "Okay, this is what happened," or "This is what this." And since I didn't know, if something happened that they didn't know about, I would just ask people. I'm like, "Wait, why is everybody cheering?" And then some guy would explain it to me. He was like, "Oh, this is like them just putting down their controller and walking away because they already knew they won the round." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it was exciting.
Cool.
A massive trophy, people watching from all around the world. It was, and then this like K-pop band, La Seraphim, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Sure.
Yeah, they performed. They do a song on Overwatch 2. You can get their exclusive skins in the game and everything. So it was like this cool kind of just every part of the world was like perfectly aligning with this game and everything. And I went home, I downloaded it, I played it all last night. I'm not gonna even lie. It's
Nice.
sick. It just reminds me of like the times when I loved Halo, except for each character has their own gun ability. The buttons are different. Like that Mobile Suit Gundam game we were playing. All the
Mm-hmm.
buttons were different and each character did different things.
Yeah.
But like that, but a shooter. And then
Oh,
Oh
like
wow.
okay.
there's three categories. There's like a tank, an offensive person, and a support character. And so like you need to make the best team, like you need like a little bit of each kind of. And yeah, it's fun, man. So that's a game I think we should play in the future for sure.
Sick.
Oh
Was
yeah.
the stadium environment like any sort of other stadium environment where it comes to sports, where there's like snacks and swag and beverages and things of the like?
Oh yeah, definitely. There was no drinks, like there was no
Mm.
alcohol inside the event, which was for me a pretty big letdown. But there was all this other stuff going on. So if you didn't want to watch some of the competitions or some of the teams play, like you had Diablo World to go explore, or World of
Sick.
Warcraft World, or
That's
so
cool.
like that was the other side to it too. Is like you get this really badass esports competition, but at the same time, like if you're not into watching a certain team play, you have all these other things you could do, and then people were going ape shit over all the things you could buy, and there was exclusive stuff for each game, and there was things you could win that were like posters or like downloadable content for games and stuff. It was cool. I was wondering if any other video game company does something this big, and they said not really. I guess there's like one other company that does it, but I wasn't familiar with any of the games.
Mm.
But I will say this about the fans who are Blizzard fans. They are like the most diehard, dedicated super fans ever. Like more than some sports teams I know. It's just wild. Like people were wearing some of the cosplay, and I was doing my thing, taking pictures, and I was like, hey, do you have an Instagram so I could tag you, all that stuff, or social media? They're like, no, that's fine. You don't have to. Like they just literally wanted to dress up like the characters. I was like, wow, this
That's
is
cool.
crazy. Yeah, so that side of it was really,
Sick.
really fun. And then hanging out with all those guys in person that I podcasted with for a bunch. Me and Frank have been doing Challenge Accepted for almost a year. And so just like hanging out with him in person and all that was really, really cool. So yeah, I recommend it if you're into any of those games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Glamour.
All right, let's get into trailers.
Okay.
So Shogun, what did we
Yep.
think about Shogun?
First things first, we're all Japanese here, so if I'd be lying if I said I didn't have an erection watching it the whole time, just because obviously the feudal era of Japan is kind of like the creme de la creme of what everybody thinks about, the prime of Japan and its warriors and the daimyo and the samurai and the ninjas and all those other things. Like everything that we've seen about Japan is kind of surfaces from that era. And I think aside from the Last Samurai with kind of similar characters, Hiroyuki Sanada's in that.
Yeah,
And
I noticed that
Tom
too.
Cruise plays the white guy.
Yeah, it also looks like there's like a white guy
Yeah.
prisoner person in it too. I mean, it's fine. I guess you gotta have like some white dude in it to make it, I don't know, acceptable or something, maybe relatable to the middle of America. I don't know, but I was just like, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah, primarily the majority of the cast is Japanese, not necessarily Asian casted. I know a lot of times, just because it's an Asian movie, they'll be like, let's throw a Korean or a Chinese person there just because they look Japanese. But
Like Le
it's most,
Femme.
yeah.
Like a
Hey,
K-pop band, but like one girl spoke Japanese, one I think spoke Chinese, one was definitely Korean, and one had like better English than me. So I was like, what's going on here
it's more
with
like
this?
A-pop.
Yeah, they had a French ass name, so I'm like, what is going on?
I know, yeah, that's a little bit too much. Um, it's going to be coming out in February 2024. And the general like synopsis is that it's a collision of the two ambitious men from different worlds and a mysterious female samurai that kind of come together. And the person from the English sailor Jack or John Blackthorne is seeing this world for the first time, and it's a clash of cultures, et cetera, et cetera. So it should be good in terms of it's a series. We know how we care about series on this show.
I know how you
And
care about series.
yeah, duh. And the production value
Watch
is
all of it.
super high. So
It
I
does.
think it's a must watch. Do you both disagree or totally agree?
I agree. FX has been pumping out a lot of good shows, so I am super aboard. I saw the trailer; it looks awesome. Definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah, 100% agree too. It looks incredible. Really shot, super nice, and I would even say at this point in time, it might even be better shot than The Last Samurai. So I think it's, I
Agree.
think we're gonna get even more of a traditional take on Japanese culture around this time. Shot better probably, and probably with like a better acted maybe, or more of a
Uh,
Japanese cast. I don't know if better acted is the right word, but I think it looks incredible from what we
maybe,
see from the
dude.
trailer. Yeah, man. Whew, yeah, good. All right,
Hmm.
moving on to the next one. We had what is it? Planet of the Apes.
Planet of
Kingdom of the
the
Planet of the
Apes.
Apes.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. What do you guys think about this one?
Isn't this an extension? So there was Planet of the Apes, and then Return to the Planet of the Apes, and then there was another Planet of
War.
the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes. So this is like those
This
were
the
the
fourth.
original three, right? So this is like a fourth one. This is an extension. This is the Star Wars Episode One situation, or well, I guess it's a postquel
Probably just episode
sequel.
4.
Episode
Yeah,
four,
yeah.
yeah,
I think it's just
Yeah.
continuing the
yeah, sure, why not? And
Like let's just count.
apes are getting
yeah, yeah.
smarter.
Sorry, I don't know how to count good, dude. Do that.
After 3, you jump to the back of the line, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, so judging by how you're talking about like Last Samurai versus this show and like how it's shot better and everything, like I think it's the same thing. This fourth movie like looks crazy good based on CG and the way it's shot and like the amount of things we're able to do now with CG is crazy.
Crazy.
On that alone, I checked the movie out. Like it looks really cool. I'm trying to remember if I saw the third film. I don't remember if I did, but watching the trailer makes me want to go back and watch these movies because it kind of got me
Yeah.
hyped for this movie.
Yeah, the last one was good. It was super sad. It's like one of those movies, where people were like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so good. Would you rewatch it? Oh, hell no, it's too sad. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like that for me, where
Okay.
it was so good when I watched it, but I'm like, oh, it's kind of tough to watch at some parts because you feel so bad for some of the apes when they're captured and
Yeah.
everything and what happens to them. So I don't know if it's like the thing I'll go back to, but this looks really damn good. I've liked all of them,
Mhm.
and I think for the first couple movies it was Andy Serkis who played Caesar. So man, if he's a part of this, I mean, the best mocap actor of all time. I'm on board with it, but it just looks incredible from what we see.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think it's probably following his son, Caesar's son. I don't know.
Caesar salad.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. The Caesar mini
salad,
salad.
salad the ape.
Caesar salad of the apes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mhm.
The cast is pretty decent as well.
Who's in it?
Freya Allen is playing May. Kevin Durand is playing Proximus
Kevin
Caesar.
Durant.
Yeah.
Sick.
Shaquille O'Neal's in this? No, he's not. But
that's Peter McCullough.
yeah. William H. Macy's in this, so that's
Ooh.
pretty sick. Peter Durand is what was he on? He was on a lot of different movies. I don't know the thing that you would have noticed him on the most.
Any titles stick out to you?
X-Men Origins, Wolverine, Robin Hood, I Am Number 4, and Wild Hogs are the top 4 on his IMDb's.
It's so funny. Like those are
Wait,
all
Kevin
popular
Durant?
titles, and they all
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Like they were all. Those are big names, and those movies
Brutal.
are all terrible.
He was in was he in Smoking Aces?
Smoking Aces is a good one. I like that movie a lot.
Potentially. He was in
He's
Lock
that,
and
he's
Key
that
recently.
super giant
Oh, Lock and Key.
buff dude.
I don't
Yeah,
know
he's
if
in Smoking
he's-
Aces. He
Okay,
used to be
okay,
jacked.
okay,
I don't know
okay.
how jacked he's now, but he's like a tall, jacked type of man. You'll know.
Got it.
him.
Yeah. Can you guys pull anything from the story from the trailer?
All jacked, man. That's a great question. I kind of saw more of the action. I think the last we saw, Caesar, where the two factions kind of split themselves, and the Caesar kind of wanted the human being situation to kind of be separated necessarily. But this seems like it's way more in the future where it's primarily the apes have kind of taken over mostly a lot of the background and the environment is looks like a solar punk where everything's kind of been retaken by the mother nature. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, no, not really for me.
No, you broke it down better than I could. It looks badass. That's all I could tell from it. The CGI looks great, and I know I watched the first 3, so I'm definitely in for this one. I just don't know what the story is gonna be from what I saw.
Further
looks good.
apocalyptic ape takeover, I assume.
Yeah, right. That's funny. The next movie we're talking about, also Godzilla -1, it is kind of the same too. I don't know what the story is, but yeah, at the same time, it's just Godzilla destroying Japan, and it seems like it's going back to its roots. And I don't know if I need more than a story or more of a story than that.
Yeah, he
You know
does
what
the
I mean?
best, right?
You just need Godzilla and scared Japanese people running away from him. That's all you really need.
Well, this has it in droves. It looks like they got that all day. So I'm really stoked about it. I think it comes out this December 1st. It's not an American movie, so people are going to be able to talk about it and review it as it comes out. So I think that side of it is exciting as well. And the special effects look pretty damn good. Like it,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a Hollywood movie, and yet the special effects still look really good, if that makes sense.
Special effects are so good nowadays. It's like Scott said, it's crazy. It's like hard.
Yeah. And I also feel like this is maybe like a point of pride for Japan and like the Japanese film industry, because like Godzilla is like a Japanese first property. So I feel like they don't want to let this down, or like it looks like it's really well acted. It looks like the plot, you really believe it's apocalyptic,
It's like an A24 film.
Yeah.
Kind of like parts of it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
there's
parts of it.
Parts of it
maybe.
that look like it could be a smaller film, and then you see the big shots of Godzilla, and
like,
they
"Ooh."
look sick. So it's like a cool merging. of the two
Right.
around.
I'm just curious how. Yeah, again, don't know the story, but I'm curious how this is gonna be handled, and will also feel different than the Monarch series that comes out on Apple TV that has Kurt Russell in it, and that's also a Godzilla show. So they're doing the Godzilla show, and then they have this movie. Like I don't know if they're gonna feel the same or different, or if this comes out and this does super well, does that then hurt the Apple TV show? I don't know. I guess that's like the thing that comes up with me on this trailer, but
Maybe not though. I mean, growing up, it seems like Godzilla kind of falls into that franchise of like, in a way, like kids like giant dinosaurs, superheroes, all that kind of stuff. So like, if you're a kid like Godzilla, you'll take any form of it. So if
Yeah.
you just see another movie that looks cool, then and then you hear a show's coming on Apple, you're gonna be begging your mom like, "Can I get it?" So
Yeah.
kids for sure will be driving it. But this
Vegeta.
this Godzilla looks like he moves quicker than the Godzilla in the Monarch series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. He definitely looks like one of the faster Godzillas we've seen because when he goes from the water to land, it's like bam, he's there, and
Yeah.
buildings are getting destroyed. So I'm excited about it. I think I'm gonna be seeing this one in theaters for sure.
Yeah. Looks sick.
Something that was supposed to come out this year, but now is pushed back to January, I think, for next year. And I was a little skeptical. Everybody was already dogging on it because Marvel came out and said we're going to release all the episodes at one time. It is a show that is a spin-off of Hawkeye, a character that's kind of a spin-off of Daredevil, and it is Echo. We saw Echo last in the Hawkeye series, and she was a really good adversary for Hawkeye. She's getting her own show. But for me, what makes this trailer so great is it looks like it's a Kingpin / Vincent D'Onofrio trailer first. Like we get a little bit of her backstory in it, and they do a really cool thing. Like this to me feels like A24 / Scorsese Killers of the Flower Moon-esque, where you're getting modern day trauma that's getting flashback to her origin story. And yet we also see like the boss. Like seriously, this trailer, maybe this is racist now because they both have to deal with Native Americans, but at the same time, like we got Kingpin, and I also feel like he's kind of the Robert De Niro in this trailer. Like he's a badass Don boss. So I don't know, but it looked way better than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. What did you guys think about this trailer?
Yeah, I agree with that. The way it's shot, I know you mentioned earlier off camera that like him narrating it, D'Onofrio just has like a really specific way about him. Like he can be he's almost like the way Bane was in the last Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like
Why don't you
he
just
doesn't need to say
try to
much.
pitch it to us, like D'Onofrio? Go for it.
D'Onofrio, he's like this guy who likes
Oh,
sugar and water.
oh, I thought you were gonna just do the voice.
Oh yeah,
Sugar.
Thank
yeah.
you, Drake. Thank you.
Sugar,
Yeah.
water. Yeah.
I-
So
I think
D'Onofrio.
you also said like, I'm not gonna give you hot dogs.
No, he said,
Deaf girl,"
why? Wait, what did
or
I say?
something like that.
Oh, wait, what did I say? He said, you deaf girls can't have hot dogs or something. I forget what it is. In the trailer, he
Yes.
beats the shit out of a hot dog vendor for blowing off Echo.
Yeah, for
Um,
like mocking her and like all
Maybe
that.
kills
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
That dude
But
is straight up dead. He got hooked against the
yeah,
wall.
for sure.
There was
Multiple
blood
times.
everywhere.
But yeah, he has like just like this calm way of speaking and like this super intimidating demeanor and like
Yeah, and still
it's
menacing.
intimidating. He does a
Yeah.
really good job with it.
Yeah. It's Law and
Looks
Order CI. Yes, criminal
That- and that-
investigative unit.
That's good too. Check that out. Criminal intent.
Oh yeah, criminal intent.
Right. I like it. He just looks so massive in this too.
Mhm.
But there is also a little cool tidbit. There's a blink and you miss it moment of Daredevil in the red suit, kind of jumping through this. I don't know what you call them. What do you call those? Like shelving, but like industrial shelving, like you might see in like a kitchen.
Oh,
on,
like a
rolling-
Costco?
Yeah, like
Oh.
a rolling rack kind of shelving. That's
Oh,
all like
yeah,
stainless
yeah.
steel. And yeah, seriously, like if you look at it again, there's a blink and you miss it moment, and it's literally like Daredevil jumping, and he like spins, so his head's looking up in the sky, but he's like jumping between the two shelves, and then that's like the only trailer, and then it cuts to Echo herself jumping off of a big rig at somebody, kind of like she looks like the chick from The Matrix, Trinity. You know when Trinity jumps and she, and like her legs are in the air and her arms are in there, like. Yeah, there's like an Echo moment like that too. So they do a really good job of like keeping up the hype. The music is intense. It looks, I don't know, it looks grittier. It's the first MCU show that's getting a TVMA rating. So it's not, this isn't for
Ooh,
your
okay.
kids. Yeah, this is following
I didn't
along.
realize that.
Yeah, so this is following along the lines of what we got from Daredevil and The Punisher and Luke Cage, like this, or Jessica Jones. This is definitely more of a gritty show, and I feel like I get that from this trailer. And I think I said this offline. I don't know if I said this yet, but to me, this looks better definitely than Secret Invasion. It looks better than even Loki season 2 for me. This looked better than maybe not Moon Knight, but other shows that we've gotten so far, this looks like a lot better than that.
Yeah.
And some of those shows I didn't hate.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it looks like a fun action show that's gonna have some like heart to it.
Yeah.
Heart.
The other report about it too.
Heart sugar, diabetes.
Yeah, that's where my mind went. Heart plus sugar equals diabetes. Why do we always bring up diabetes?
I don't know.
That was last
It's
week's
a real
episode.
disease, okay? It's an epidemic.
Yeah,
It
it
is
affects
an
everyone
epidemic.
everywhere, you know.
If you got it, we do feel bad for you. I'm sorry. But shit, now I lost track of what I was gonna say on that. What was it about?
Sorry.
That's good. I don't know. Anyways, it looks incredible. Oh, this is it. This is the other thing they said. The producers also said that Echo is not a hero in this. She's a villain. So I really like that they're not going to try to like make her a good guy all of a sudden from Hawkeye. That she's going to continue on and be a villain. So I dig that. All right. So let's get into reviews, guys. And let's start off with Drake. You watched a couple things.
Oh, we have two things.
This looked really funny, but I didn't even know that it was coming out, first of all, and I don't even know where to watch it, but it's called The Quiz Lady.
Yes.
Tell us about
This is a segment called Drake Tells You Why You Should Watch This Movie.
I like it.
I can't wait.
Here we go. So, Quiz Lady, it is on Hulu. It came out November 3rd. It focuses around two people that we know by heart, Aquafina and Sandra Oh, who play sisters Anne and Jenny Yum, Y-U-M. This also was created, or produced, I should say, by Will Ferrell's company. And Will Ferrell is in it. And so...
Oh.
Essentially, it follows these two sisters. When they were young, their parents were having issues, and so they essentially had to take care of each other, primarily the older sister, Sandra Oh, to Aquafina, the younger sister. As they grow up, we see that Aquafina is kind of in a job, and Sandra Oh is kind of the more wild one, which you don't necessarily see her character in that way. On the backdrop, we also have a lot of Asian culture that we don't necessarily get to see, especially in what happens when a divorce happens within an Asian culture environment. And essentially, the only thing that kept Aquafina sane is watching this same show every single day, which is the game show that she's loved. All of a sudden, her sister took a video of her kind of running through the answers very quickly, and it went viral. And that's how we get the name of the movie, Quiz Lady. And so they run into an issue where a character named Dumbfounded in real life, he's actually, he was an underground rapper for a long time. And he took Aquafina's dog as ransom because the mom originally owed a bunch of money. And so Sandra Oh is trying to get Aquafina onto this game show to be able to win that money back and get her dog back. And so all of these shenanigans kind of occur. You see this interesting growth of both Aquafina and Sandra Oh, and you also get to see them in roles that they don't usually play. Aquafina usually plays that like funny, awkward, kind of forward-facing individual. She's more of a slumpy, frumpy, like Asian-esque character, and Sandra Oh is more of that like serious character. She usually plays serious characters, but in this role, she's completely different. I've also heard in the backdrop, behind the scenes, that Sandra Oh did a lot of improvisation, and Aquafina kind of had to roll with it. And so you get you get to see some really crazy things happen. One thing that I think will help salivate your juices is that Will Ferrell plays kind of a lot more of a straight man in this one, kind of more of like an Alex Trebek. And there's a moment in time where it gets a little bit more emotional. To me, this was a very like soft, loving, beautiful story of like sisterhood. But the moment I'm talking about is they have to do charades at one point in time. And the person that they're up against, who happens to be Jason Schwartzman,
Oh, wow.
is him and his partner are a pro at doing this charades game. And Aquafina is completely scared of having to do charades because she's not a outgoing person. But the way that her and Sandra Oh are able to play this charades game is in a way that only two sisters would know. and it's completely amazing. So if
Nice.
you have some time, watch Quiz Lady. It's a beautiful movie. It left me uplifted. It was short and sweet. Uh, it was funny at certain points in time. It was serious at certain points in time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's all I can say about that.
It's pretty good. It was kind of like reminded me of Joyride when you were describing it. Are
Oh,
there similarities or not at all?
Joyride is very much so hyperbolic.
Okay.
It's very much verbose, whereas this is a lot more realistic. Like you can relate to this a lot more.
Yeah.
Characters in here, some of the situations in here, you can kind of place yourself in them. Whereas in Joyride, it seemed kind of very out there, right? With the
Yeah, like over
K-pop
the top
scene,
and
yeah, and the demon vagina. Your friend's a Asian star in Asia. Like those things are potentially real, but not necessarily.
this is like more grounded like beef in a way. Like it's just
Way
two
more
brothers
grounded.
trying to just make it through the day kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
it's
like sisters.
it's some of the things that you think are gonna go a certain way or are a certain way, are definitely not that way. So, for
Hmm.
example, you think the kidnapping is about like is really about the money, but it isn't. And you think that Aquafina and Sandra O's relationship is not good because of something that would be common, but it's not. Um, the game show in itself seems kind
Like a
of,
game show, but it's not.
but it's not. It's it's familiar, but it isn't. The way that Will Ferrell plays the game show host kind
Mhm.
of gives it a wholesomeness that you wouldn't think that it would be there.
Hmm. Pretty interesting. All right.
Sounds good.
It
You,
does
you
actually
said
sound pretty good.
you
Yeah.
said Joyride, and I was thinking that Paul Walker movie where
Oh,
the trucker follows them, and
rest in peace,
I was like,
Paul
how is it
Walker.
like Joyride? But I forgot that other movie came out called
Oh
Joyride
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah, that's
got
true.
it. Got it.
We should
I was
chat
like, that was a
GPT
horror
them
movie.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah, and see
we
how it
should.
goes.
Yeah, yeah. If you had to combine this Joyride and this Joyride, what would you get? Now, Quiz Lady. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I've seen some things going around
Quiz
online about it. It
lady.
looked kind of good, so
It's
I'm in.
watch it with your spouse, and I guarantee you it will not disappoint.
And it's on
Right on.
Hulu.
It's on a Hulu. Hulu's doing
Hulu.
some really great stuff right now.
Yeah.
Definitely. Is Hulu doing a haunting in Venice?
Hulu isn't doing a Haunting in Venice. I believe that is a separate 20th Century Studios situation.
Okay.
This is the what are those things called? What are
Movies,
those
Movie.
things? No, but where the characters are the same, but it's a different Bob.
cinema,
Oh, I forget what it's called. I just know other shows that do it.
Yeah.
TV
What
shows.
the fuck are those things called, dude? No,
I
it's
know
like
what you're
a
It's
talking
like
about.
American Horror
yeah. It
Story
was like
and
Yeah,
I
all
want to
that.
say it's an annexation, but it's not an annexation.
Puerto
Um,
Rico,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah, that is what it is.
It's a football play.
yeah,
An
yeah.
it's an anthology, is what we're
Little
talking about.
Giants, all
Anthology.
right.
Bangos, we know words.
Anthology.
That
Hey.
mean things.
Okay, so first and foremost, Haunting in Venice. Not what you expected from this series, like The Glass Onion. There is a lot of detectiving, but it's way more it's a way more thought provoking in that sense. And it's a lot more scary. It was more scary than I thought it would be because there's these moments of realism in what's being portrayed literally in the film, and then the kind of the connotations behind it. So essentially, it's focusing on our main character, Mr. Poirot, Hercule Poirot, and he's essentially being forced out of retirement by Tina Fey. And
Okay,
they're
who is it played by? Who's Mr. Moreau
uh, Hercule Poirot
or
is played
Poirot?
Poirot is played by. Please hold. Oh wow, he's actually an older individual.
Hmm.
Kyle Allen, I believe. Right?
Kyle.
No,
Okay, don't know.
the same guy who's been playing him the last many times. Nope, it's not Kyle Allen. Wow. Okay.
Psych.
Heyo.
That's all good.
What is his name? Perot. Where is he? He's not even on the thing on the thingamabob.
Yeah, I
Whoa.
typed in
He.
Kyle Allen and a quarterback
Oh,
came up.
it's Kenneth Branagh.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, Brunau.
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you.
Um.
Oh,
So
KB. Yeah.
KB. Duh. And then also in here is the very, 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 very good actress that
Mm-hmm.
I'm Kelly Riley, who's also been in Yellowstone and
Mm-hmm.
in what is that called? Sherlock Holmes, the one with
It's kind of like the
Iron
redhead
Man. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth.
yeah.
Yeah. She's
Michelle
awesome.
Yeoh is in this.
That's the only person I remember that was in this movie.
Yeah,
And
Michelle
Tina
Yeoh
Fey,
is,
right?
and Tina Fey. So the big thing is that Tina Fey is trying to drag Hercule out of retirement or in this place of like lackadaisicalness, and takes him to this house where there's like an idea that the house is haunted from these kids who at one point in time were left in there because it was an orphanage during the Black Plague.
Damn.
Mm.
Okay.
And so the Rowena Drake, who's played by Kelly Riley, her daughter had gotten killed by these individuals or the ghosts. And so Hercule's like, this is dumb. It's probably not real. And the reason why he thinks that is because Kelly brought in Michelle Yeoh, who's supposed to be a medium. And Michelle Yeoh brings in two other characters who are kind of, Hercule finds out that they're kind of helping her out to kind of make it the thing, but all of Michelle Yeoh dies.
Damn.
All of a sudden,
Early
another
on in the
person
movie?
dies early on in the movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, was
Way
this
to
supposed to be
It's
a
not really a
secret?
spoiler alert because you know people gonna die. Um,
Okay.
and so it's just because somebody dies doesn't mean you know how it unfolds.
You know what? I'm glad you told me she dies early because if people were trying to go watch this movie for this person, like I did for Godzilla with Bryan Cranston,
Oh yeah,
they will be disappointed
yeah.
because that motherfucker died real
Okay,
quick.
so
And Bryan
that's
Cranston's dead.
the reason why I remember Michelle Yeoh and I heard something about this is because she just came off of Everything Everywhere at Once. She just won an
Yep.
Oscar. And I think people did go see this because they're like, oh, it's more of this lady that I just saw in Everything Everywhere all at once. Like, I want to see more of her. And then people went and they were like, what? She's dead? Right off the bat. I think that screwed up a lot of people's take on this movie.
Yeah, I bet.
I guess I would agree if you're going singularly for that, but in her role, in her the amount of time that she had screen time, I still think she was convincing. Because when she goes, right, it still leads you to believe, well, was there a part of it that was real or was it not? Because it leads you down this way of what is actually really superstitious or what is actually real, like haunting, and that gets blended here and there even after the conclusion, where Hercule brings everything together and you're like, oh, that makes sense, oh, I saw that here, this and that, and you can kind of draw your conclusions from what you've seen in the movie. If you're doing a little bit of deduction, it still leads you to believe that maybe there's more.
Okay.
And the way where this is placed inside of, well, it's definitely an anthology, so it's a different story. But the way Hercule Poirot is in this, it's definitely back in the day. There's no, I don't think there's any cars, and I don't think there's any cell phones. So considering he's also been in the Glass Onion, I would assume this is previous, even though it's a different story and it could be a different time. It just doesn't make sense to have the same character in a different time frame if it's not
Because you're saying
chronological.
Hercule Poirot, but like, are you talking about like Daniel Craig's character?
Yeah.
Huh? Because like that's supposed to be more modern day,
Yeah.
so it
They're
can't
the
be
same
him.
guy though.
I
Like
want to say they're the same. Aren't they the same?
It could
In
be like
anthologies, isn't it the same guy or the same?
so in Glass Onion and Knives Out, he's literally the same guy. It's not like the same actor playing a different guy. It's like the same guy.
Oh, interesting.
So
I think I'm
this
thinking about a
maybe
different thing.
yeah, I think these ones are connected to like the Death on the Nile
Yes,
yeah,
definitely
and like
and
Nile.
all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Okay.
Similar though. I
Okay.
mean,
right.
it is like a
Yeah.
murder
It
thing.
got me. It
I
got me
gotcha.
all
But
messed
you know,
up.
at the same time, it could
Yeah.
be like how Batman or Sherlock is done. Like it's a character that could exist at any time. Another person could be that. You know,
Right.
like I
Depends.
believe
Yeah,
that
the
too.
writer can
So
like put this character in any time frame depending on
yeah,
the story they want to tell.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I mean, if you like that murder mystery type situation, I think regardless of whether or not it's like a Glass Onion style or it's this style like on the Nile situation,
mhm.
I liked it. I digged it. I dig this one more than Death on the Nile.
So,
Oh yeah. Nobody like that.
Just because of the scary factor. The shots in Venice, the aerial shots are beautiful. Tina Fey's character in this is spectacular. I think she brings a different dynamic and a different dimension to this whole thing. Her banter with Hercule is hilarious,
Right
Oh,
on.
and I would
nice.
watch it just for that.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
Can I ask you, in terms of spooky, can you compare it to like another movie that's along the same level of jump scare, horror, something?
Good question.
The so think watching Sixth Sense for the second time
Oh, okay, so not too
Sixth
bad.
Sense for the
in
second
in
It's
time.
got
terms of how it
eeriness.
invokes fear.
I
Yeah,
got
it's
you.
got
Okay,
eeriness. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
It's definitely it makes you think. There's definitely some logic behind the solve, but at the same point in time, you're like, is it really though? Because it seems like there could be a little bit more considering Hercule's character and his growth within this time frame.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice. Well
It's
done.
a fun
Color
one.
me intrigued.
It's pretty short too. It's only 103 minutes. Um, it did well. It was budgeted for 60 million. It already made 119.3 million. So
That's
Hmm.
good.
according to this Wikipedia article, which you know is always legit. So
Never wrong. You can write your
never wrong.
reports off those kids.
Straight
Yep.
facts.
Yeah. Oh,
Always
nice.
use it.
Perfect. Well,
Nice.
yeah, I think you definitely got me interested in it, and yeah, I'll consider. I started watching The Burial after your review on it, Drake, and it is so far I haven't finished it. I've been like watching it in chunks. It has not disappointed me yet. It is pretty good, so
Yeah.
Nice.
definitely considering this one
Girl's
as well.
good.
All right, let's move on to Loki episode
Oh
5.
wait, let's squeeze in Invincible real quick.
Well, I was thinking
Oh yeah,
Invincible
yeah.
into the finale of Gen V since they're both on Amazon Prime. No.
Yeah,
Oh,
scratch
that makes sense. Yeah.
Thomas Ed me out real quick. What you did?
No,
Jesus.
we're keeping that in. All right, so Loki episode 5 was a big one. This is not the finale, but this was the penultimate episode. And man, I think this was one of the most impactful episodes of any show, of any Disney Plus Marvel thing that we've gotten ever. Other than Loki season 1, episode 6, the finale of that season. So this had so many layers to it. And I think that what it did and how it was able to pick right back up after episode 4, and how episode 4 was this amazing cliffhanger. And I just did not know how they were going to be able to move on from that. I'm like, fuck, dude, where do they go from here? Like they got hit by the blast of the temporal loom radiation and everybody seems to be gone. Like, how did they pick this back up? But surprisingly, it works amazingly well. And we find out that Loki is just there in the TVA by himself. And then from there, he starts to try to reconnect with all of his TVA friends. And that's kind of it. But along the way, we discover about everybody's backstory. And it's done super, super well. Yeah, do you want to take it away from here, Scott? While you cough and mute yourself.
Jumping off what you said with jumping into the backstories, I like that. I like seeing everyone's backstory and like kind of answering questions. So definitely answering questions about what we thought these people were like outside of TVA. And like confirming maybe what we assumed. Especially like Mobius, his like thing with jet skis, and like everyone
Finally,
assumed he was selling
let's
jet
just take a
skis, and he
moment.
sure was. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just take a moment and appreciate that Loki finally was able to get on a Sea-Doo. Because
Oh
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so great because the way they did it too, with it zooming in on his face and like the wind is blowing through his hair and it's just blue skies behind him and he's just got the biggest smile, was just awesome because you're like, that really was this guy's happy place, being
Yeah, it
on
really
the
was.
Sea-Doo ripping around. And then you also find out like that's not the whole story to this guy. He had a wife. He doesn't have one anymore for whatever reason. Maybe she was blipped. Maybe she left him. Maybe she died. It doesn't really say. He just knows she's way gone now. But there's a really nice moment in the middle where Loki is getting to reconnect with him, and they're going through all these things, and the way Loki convinces him to join the team is because he has two sons who, let's be honest, one of them is probably a sociopath. He's melting
Yep.
shit in the park or in the front yard and like all this
So
stuff.
hilarious,
But like,
that interaction.
Where'd you get matches?
Is this
Yeah.
burnt?
yeah.
Yep.
Little
it's
wings,
burnt.
little
Don't
wings.
run.
Yeah, it's great. I really dug it. I really liked how also in the beginning when Loki first time slipping, because that's the other part to this too. He starts time slipping again and he's like, "No, damn it." Like the "come on." Like nobody can scream and be like frustrated and do the hair flip as well as Tom Hiddleston. Well, it's just like one of his many abilities in his
Classically trained.
yes, it is acting repertoire, and like he does it to perfection. It's
Yeah.
awesome. But he starts time slipping, and then at first he goes to see Casey, and I think it's in like 1962 Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So that was cool because we're like, oh, I was not expecting Casey to be a prisoner on Alcatraz, but I like how they're taking real life history facts, and he ends up being this Frank guy who was like one of the three guys who actually did escape from Alcatraz. Whatever they don't know if they ever made it to shore or if they ever got away, or if they got like if they sank or drowned or eaten or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like how they kind of take some of this fiction and add it to some historical events, and we get that here. And then just that, hey Casey, what do we gotta go in the boat. And they're like, hey, are you the boat guy? He's like, Casey,
Yeah.
I don't know about the boat. And it's like, why do they keep calling you? Why does he keep calling you Casey, Frank? He's like, I don't know this guy. Like, I don't know why he's calling me Casey. Like, all of that was kind of funny to start, and then showing that he doesn't remember him anymore, which is also an awesome callback to episode 1 when he didn't remember him. And then from there, then I think he jumps over to Hunter B-15 or to Obi or Mobius, one of the two. But anyways, like
Yeah. I want to say the Hunter B-15 was like the third one or something.
Yeah, you might be right on that. I think so. But anyways, so then we go back to Mobius. We see him at his jet ski Sea-Doo dealership.
Wow.
Follow him home, and Loki's trying to convince him that they're friends. From there, we jump into B-15, or Hunter B-15. We see that she's a doctor, and that she's really caring. She's helping this girl with her cast. She's kind of teaching her life lessons, and there's even a weird tidbit here of like pain is a good reminder and a good teacher of like future things from happening. And someone else take it away right now. I need some water.
I knew exactly what you meant.
I was about to joke there for a second.
She wrote like, "I will not climb up trees" on her cast, and then you gather that that's how she got her cast. That little girl, she fell out of a tree,
Right.
and she said, "It ain't gonna work, is it?" She's like, "Nope." So
yeah,
I thought that was a little cute moment, but it shows like she has, as tough as she is in the TVA, she has like this very kind, helping demeanor to her. That's
Yeah.
like, I guess you kind of see in the TVA when she's with like Loki then, but otherwise she's like this real tough, like military-esque kind of lady. You'd
Yeah.
assume like that's what she was outside.
true.
So it's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was a doctor, so like she's not using any of her knowledge, I feel like, in the TV. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, like Mobius is not jet skiing all around, well, I guess his sales comes into play a lot more.
Yeah. But you think you'd use some sort of like your like knowledge on medicine and that stuff to like, maybe she does. Maybe she's like paratrooper kind of thing. Like she's paramedic slash
Yeah, maybe she was
keep
using it
people
in
in
the
line or
field.
something in TVA. Yeah. Who
Mhm.
knows? But it was
Yeah.
cool to see that.
You're right. I think that's a great pull right there because we think of them all as a certain way. We think of Casey as like kind of like a nerdy dork in the office. We see Hunter B-15 as like the hard prisoner who goes after Loki. OB's kind of the most like his character, I will say.
Yeah.
Pause.
Just like a
Hey,
super genius in whatever time he's in.
yeah. Yep, exactly. Drake, try and mute yourself when you're typing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna be able to edit that out. All right. 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Again. Try to say what you said again, Scott.
Oh, yeah, Ouroboros. He's like a super genius in like whatever time he's in.
Yeah.
it was interesting. Like he was probably like you're saying the closest to like the same dude.
Yeah, he was. But it's funny because his whole thing was he wanted to be the fiction writer, you know, the famous writer, but at the same time, like what he becomes in the TVA is a writer, but he's more known for his actual science, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, so he
He's
is,
like
I guess,
the
the most
he's
similar.
like Dr. Ken, but Dr. Ken became a comedian from a doctor, and this guy wanted to be a writer, but was just like an inventor.
Wait, who's Dr.
Real
Ken?
real life Dr. Ken, the guy in
Ken Jeong.
um
Oh,
Ken
Ken
Jeong.
Jeong. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
obviously really smart and capable in this one field of work, but
Hmm.
like would love to do something else as well. And it was
Yeah.
funny, like he plays that character so well. Like when they're like, "Oh, you wrote the TVA handbook," and he's like, "I do become a successful writer." Like that, just that little bit was enough to keep him like, "Okay, good." Like
Yeah.
it's so genuine, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
kind of cute. Yeah,
It is. It's like adorable. But then we also find out when he fixes the temp pad and he comes back to save Mobius and Loki, he's like, oh, Loki's like, oh, wow, you did that fast. He's like, 19 months. I don't know if that's fast. He's like, I lost my job and I lost my wife and I lost
I know that
everything,
was
but oh,
sad.
well. Yeah. You're like,
Yeah,
damn, dude. Like, but I mean, that's what he wanted to do. I love the whole idea, too, of him like trying to get the books launched, and he goes in the bookstore and he's like trying to buy his own books. He like puts them on the shelf and be like, this is great
that's
to
pretty
fund it.
genius. Yeah,
Yeah, it was. It was
like
smart.
yeah, it's a
It was
hustle for
smart.
sure.
It was. Yeah. Oh man,
It was
And
a
he
that
was
really
was
so
good
like
read.
optimistic and stuff. Like some
Mhm.
person comes to you, says they're a time traveler and all this stuff, and he's like, "All right, yeah, let's talk about it." Like he was just like so, not like get out of here, you freak.
It was
It
a
was
Right.
kind of cool.
it was a
Yeah.
cool way to like do a almost like a montage of backstory without devoting a full episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And at the same, I mean, I think this is backstory done right. You know what I mean? Where you learn about the characters, but at the same time, it's still progressing the story and then progressing the main character.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, this is a Loki story. And then what we get from Loki's realization, and I think before we get to that point, it's like what he experiences with Sylvie, right? Like he finally goes back to talk to Sylvie, and she's the only one of them that remembers him. She's like, I don't. She's like, Loki, why would I remember you? Of course I remember you. And he's like, oh, well, everybody else did it. And then she's like, let's go to the bar. They have that conversation, and I think it's one of the most impactful conversations again with it for any character that we've ever seen. I'm trying to think of another time. The other conversation I could think of is maybe like when Iron Man calls out Cap, and he's like, we lost. You said, we'd win together, we'd lose together, and here we are, and like it didn't work.
hmm
And that realization of like, man, we really failed. But I think that conversation at the bar where she's telling him, like, what do you want? Like, what do you really here to get? And it comes down to he doesn't want to be alone, and he doesn't just that. I mean, he wants the TVA back, not just because he's giving them an option, and also it could save the universe, but it's because he wants to be with his friends. And I don't know. I just felt like that was such an amazing scene to get to the heart of like what Loki is about. I don't know. What do you guys think about that bar scene?
It
No,
was
I agree.
interesting. How do we? What is the general idea of why they they're both able to recognize each other as their gods?
What do you mean? Like, oh, how she still remembers him?
Yeah,
I think the,
I didn't really
I,
get that.
yeah, I think it's still like
Because she's still a
TBD.
Loki, right?
Yeah, but I also think someone was saying because she still has Kang's tempad, or He Who Remains tempad, that maybe she was immune to it, or maybe
Mm,
because she was hiding at the end of Apocalypse for her whole life, she was used to that radiation. Loki basically took like an ass blast to the face of
Ass blast.
radiation in episode
yeah, he did.
4. Yeah, and so maybe it's because of the amount of radiation that they've absorbed from like the temporal loom and in time and how it all works that they may be, um, I don't know, like immune to it, I guess.
hmm
But I'm not too sure about it. I still think that scene I just love because at her heart she's a Loki too.
Yeah.
She knows why he wants to get all of this back and to get it all reset and everything, because she's feeling it too. And we see that she's feeling it too because of the next scene in the music store. So she goes in there, she gets the record, right? The guy's like, hey, this will either cure whatever is ailing you or it'll make it way worse. And
Yeah.
that song goes on, and she's sitting in the back. And when she starts crying, listening to all the lyrics,
Spaghetti.
yeah, and the spaghetti visuals, which was absolutely beautiful.
cool.
But that scene, just in general, was just so beautiful. That to
Mhm.
me, talking about A24, like that reminds me of an A24 scene, about how creative it was and how unique. And the windows start spaghettifying and the cups spaghettified, so the coffee spilling on the table and everything around her is kind of dissolving while this record spins, and then the camera spins with the record, and then it flips up, and then she kind of backs herself to the wall, and everything is spaghettifying around her, and the only thing that stops that from happening is the temp pad magic or technology, the science or the fiction. I don't know what it would be, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
I guess to us it is just that. It's science fiction. So I love it. And in that moment she realizes that she needs to be with Loki and the rest of the team, because if even if he gives them free will, and even if he just lets them go off and do their own thing, all of universe, all of realities are collapsing around him. They have to do something. So man, it was just really, really well done. I thought it was some of the more like beautiful and poetic moments, but also like really getting to the heart of any Marvel character that we've seen on screen. Again, I think like Thor's gone through it. I feel like Captain America went through it. I went through Iron Man, went through it, and those are some of the reasons why they're a lot of our favorite characters, is because we've seen them at their lowest. We've also seen them rise above it and kind of like fight through that. So I feel like this scene, these two scenes kind of embodied that.
Yeah, for sure. It's good, and it's like as cheesy as it is, whatever. It's it's nice to see Loki, like, I guess, admit, like, you guys are my best buds. Because you think back to his life, and it's like he's never really been close to anyone. He's always been looking out for himself. He kind of felt like he had to. It's
Yeah,
probably why he's always mischievous all the time. He has this brother that he loves, probably, unconditionally, but it's like it's
but
not like they
couldn't
have the
say
same
it.
relationship as he does with these people, like eating pie with Mobius, and like
It's
just
true.
whatever, shooting the
Yeah.
shit. Um,
Even
yeah, so it
the
was like nice.
time he had on Lamentus with Sylvie on the train and just
Mhm.
drinking, and her asking him like, "Do you think what it means to be a Loki is us always losing?"
Yeah.
It's like those kind of questions. Like nobody asked him those questions in the Avengers. Like Thor never really asked him those things. Like Odin probably didn't. Maybe the closest person ever was his mom, Freya, and he's kind
Yeah.
of the reason she gets killed.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I agree. Like I think these moments were like really, really good and really needed to drive the points of the show home. But for the longest time, he has been the god of mischief, and I think this season has been a lot of like, what is he really the god of, and can he come to grips with the type of god that he is? And what's interesting, for the longest time, it has been mischief, but I think this is the first time where we start seeing Loki shift from the god of mischief to a new comic book kind of character, and kind of him leveling up, kind of him reaching like Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan 4, where
Right.
he now has this ultimate power, learning about time slipping, which we'll get into in a second, but also he's now not becoming the god of mischief anymore. Online, he's called the Avenger Prime, and what that title means is he becomes a god of fiction, meaning the god of rewriting stories. And I think we see that in this episode. The reason why Mobius says, "Oh, jet skis are a perfect union of form and function," is because Loki says
Yeah.
that to him.
I like that.
The reason why Obi says something, I can't remember, or some of the things that he says is because Loki goes in there and says it to him first, and then by the time maybe they start the TVA again, they think it's their idea, but it was really him in the past before they forgot him
Hmm.
implanting those ideas. Oh, the book. He
Yeah.
he brings Victor Timely to Obi, who helps Obi write the book that inspires Victor Timely. Loki then gets the book and then sees OB, when he's still AD Doug, gives him the book that he will then write that inspires him to create the temp pad to get everything fixed. So literally all of these things are OB, but the whole episode, he's rewriting the fiction of these characters' lives.
Yeah.
And that's like really freaking cool. So I love this episode for that. I thought this was really, really amazingly
Great storytelling.
well done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just all these ideas of a Mobius strip, a thing looping back on itself so it runs eternal. Same thing with the Ouroboros, like life creates destruction, destruction creates life, and all and we've been seeing it all season, but we see it especially in this episode too. And there's just like more examples that lead to that, and I'm like, fuck, that was just really well done. So I was really surprised by how good this episode was.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we will see in the future. Okay, so it ends with him learning how to time slip, which is definitely a level up. I mean, that's a serious power.
That's cool.
And a power that I think if we are going to need the Avengers to beat Kang and everything, like Loki's going to be one of the only people that's going to be able to reverse time, because like the time stone or the Infinity Stones aren't around anymore. But I mean, I guess he could technically revert time to go get them, but at the same time, which is, God, I gotta stop saying that.
Not a
He doesn't
T.
need him. Yeah, he doesn't need him anymore because he is a living Infinity Stone. He is a living Time Stone.
Yeah. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that Tom Hiddleston wants to keep this character going for a while. I think he's gonna be super pivotal for the Avengers. I think his arc has been one of the most incredibly fleshed out arcs out of every character that we've seen in the last like whatever it is 15 years of Marvel or the MCU. So I don't know, I feel very positive about it. And then I don't know where this episode ends. Like I think he figures out a way to stop Victor Timely from spaghettifying, but there's a theory online and I can't take credit for it, but when he goes out to the temporal loom on the walkway, he has to do something to pull Victor Timely away from it. But instead, he pulls back the Kang that we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Yeah, because he doesn't die, right? He gets shot into the probability battery thing, and subsequently gets beaten by the ant, like the two worst heroes to beat Kang. But anyways, they beat him. He gets sucked into that thing, and then so there's a theory that he pulls that Kang out from the probability storm, and that's how this Kang becomes He Who Remains.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think the worst person to beat Kang, if I had to choose, would be Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel, does she beat Kang?
I mean, she doesn't, but if she did, I'd be like, what?
Well, Ant-Man already did. So
Yeah, I mean, Ant-Man's ability is just to shrink.
Yeah.
Like Miss Marvel, I mean, yeah, maybe you're right. Actually,
Like,
I mean, it's kind of like Hawkeye beat him, and like I love Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is an awesome, like, badass hero. Jerry Renner's the man. But at the same time, it's like Hawkeye doesn't have any powers, and like technically, like Scott didn't either. He can shrink and he can grow really big now. I mean, he didn't grow really big to beat him, and he didn't shrink, so he just straight up beat him in a fist fight. Yeah, so
Hawkman has a weakness that will always defeat him.
what is it?
Snowmobile.
Oh shit!
Too soon?
Damn, I don't think
getting
it's too soon.
better,
He's
Drake.
fine.
Sorry.
Oh my god!
though I forget the joke, but I think speaking of Ant-Man, Paul Rudd sent some kind of like joke to him while he's recovering, in the sense of like including a snowmobile, whatever, like one you only send to your good friend, and he had a good sense of humor about it. I forget the joke, but that's funny you say that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has a good sense of humor about it. So
Yeah.
he did. So yeah, incredible episode. All right.
Yep.
Moving on, we got the season 2 premiere of Invincible. Yeah, Scott, do you want to take it away on this one?
yeah, so if you've seen season 1, it picks up right after that. Little spoiler: season 1 ends with main character Invincible. His dad is Omni-Man, and you find out like Omni-Man is like the Superman who has been sent there to like terraform
Destroy
the Earth, I
Earth.
guess, and turn it into what their species would be. So they take over and whatnot. And he unveils this to his son, like, this is always the plan, dude. Um, they have this big fight, and he leaves. So it picks up from there. Um, this they kick off on like an alternate universe, so it's kind of cool. Seems like multiverse is like popular right now, so it delves into that. It's a
Hmm.
multiverse of when his son Invincible follows, instead of fighting his dad, follows through with the plan and was like, all right, cool, I heard your pitch, let's do it, let's destroy the Earth. um and it's just like this like horrible world. You're kind of watching like, what the fuck, like, when is he gonna wake up from his dream? And you're like,
Right.
that's not a dream, what's going on? And then it cuts to a
Exactly.
dude that can walk between dimensions. So he ends up coming back into our dimension, and you see the main character that we know dealing with the trauma he experienced in season one. He wants to continue fighting crime. He's kind of like staying home. He's not going to school, but he's also has this internal battle. Like, he's afraid he's going to become like his dad. And anytime anyone mentions anything like that, he gets really defensive.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, and he
It
just has
feels
this internal
guilty,
struggle.
it
Like,
seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he
yeah,
just seems like guilty that he let people down, or that he's like, that the possibility of turning into his dad like kind of makes him feel bad.
Daddy
yeah.
issues for sure.
Hmm.
But still, yeah, it's really cool. It dives back into everything. Action's really great. Drawing and everything is really great. It's gruesome if you like that. I guess it ties into like the boys that we're gonna talk about in a bitch. A bitch.
A
Talk
bitch.
about
God
it, a
damn.
bitch.
Relax, dog. Relax, dude.
Relax, bro.
Let's talk to it in a
What?
bitch.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about
Is
a
that
bitch.
gonna be a
Hold
saying,
on.
man? That should be a saying.
Yeah.
God
We'll talk about it, a
damn.
bitch. All right.
Talk about it in a
Yeah.
bitch, man.
Um.
Holy.
Amazing.
Yeah. Shit. But it's really good. There's also some Kang vibes in this too. The guy who can walk between worlds kind of has this vibe where he's like, he wants all the knowledge to like make all the worlds great. And
Yeah.
it's like kind of, it's in a sense it reminds me of like a Kang like feel.
You're so
Um
right. I didn't even and that guy, I mean, oh shoot, he was already in the MCU. He plays T'Chaka's brother in Black Panther 1, but it's the guy from This Is Us.
oh, okay.
And he's like the main guy that can like do the universe hopping like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I was like, dang, if he did it, I was like, that have that guy take over for Jonathan Majors, but I forgot he's already been in the MCU. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is cool. I was fully ready for it to be a dream and for him to wake up, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
not, and you're like, oh wow, okay, so they're going that route. But then the multiverse of it all comes into play, like you're saying. um okay, so there was a lot I liked about it, but this didn't hit me, I think, because I watched Loki and because I
Mm.
watched Gen V. Like, it didn't hit me the way that season one did in the premiere, where it
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my god, Omni-Man's like killing the whole Justice League, kind of thing in the first episode of season one. And it was really good. Like you were saying, everything is true. All that action was super good, but it didn't hit me like the way that season one hit me. And I don't know if it's because it lined up with all this other stuff I was watching, but yeah, I just kind of hope it gets a little bit more intriguing for me.
Mm,
I
okay.
guess we're seeing so many multiverse things that it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like things are like rising and things are dropping because there's too many options right now. Rick and
Yeah,
Morty and
I see what you're saying. It's
yeah,
hard to sometimes like, it's hard to see new ideas, and then it's hard to not compare these ideas with one. You're like, oh, did they do it better? When really, like, really we shouldn't, but it doesn't mean we don't do it. Like, for sure,
yeah,
anytime I watch anything, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like for instance, I'm like, oh yeah, he's kind of like a king. I see. Oh, he's kind of like this.
yeah.
Oh,
But
multiverse. Okay,
yeah, but
like,
I
and I
wasn't
shouldn't
even
be thinking like that,
right.
but
I
I
wasn't
am.
comparing it to Loki though. Even I was just comparing it even to itself against season one.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't be doing that either because it was a start. But like this premiere, as much as I thought it was good, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but it wasn't like like Loki for me was like a 8 or 9. Like Gen V season finale was like 8 or 9. This was like a 6, 7 for me, or I would say probably like a strong 7. And
Okay.
like it just wasn't like as powerful. Where I felt like season one, episode one of Invincible was like, that's a straight 8 or 9 too, maybe even 10. Like, it was just I was so surprised by it, and I wasn't as surprised in this one.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
yeah, I see what you're saying. It's I know they touch a little bit on it, like in the multiverse, Omni-Man destroys Immortal Man or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like that, I guess that's the closest thing you can get to the first episode, right? Um, but I'm just gonna take it as like I'm sure there's got to be a reason why they just started with one episode and not like three.
Yeah.
Like it's
Like they
probably gonna
normally
build
do.
into something really good. I know they had to deal with the trauma. I'm trying to think of it more, especially while I'm playing Spider-Man. Like sometimes good stories just need more time to
Oh,
flesh
that
out, you know?
that's
And it's
true.
hard
Yeah.
to like make sure every episode's a banger.
But like
So
Spider-Man's beginning was so good for me. Like we've just been
that's true.
spoiled. It's like spoiled by
Yeah,
riches, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, for sure.
even things that they were showing at BlizzCon too, I think was just like, wow, that looks dope. You know, I don't even play that game, but like it makes me
Yeah.
want to play it because that looks so freaking cool.
Oh,
You know
but
what I mean?
yeah, it could also be. I mean, granted, the first season one, episode one, still followed this thing I'm gonna say, but season two, episode one, it's still following a comic that was written years ago, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas like
Yeah.
Loki and all these new properties we're seeing are like they have the writers are going in like, how do we top the last fucking thing that was blowing up the internet? Like, and
Right,
then they can
right.
do that versus like they're telling a story that's already been told, you know, so
Mhm.
the best they can do is like make it look cool, which they've been
Yeah.
doing so far. But
Which
I
it
see what
did.
you're
The
saying for
action
sure.
was tight. Like
Yeah,
with all the Maulers jumping out and like the different variations of them, and then
yeah,
like yeah, Invincible has to fight all of them. I thought that was super cool.
yeah,
Um, it was just weird too. I kept thinking in that fight, as badass as it was, and I was loving it. I was like, okay, they just showed us all the Guardians, and then like they fight that big like giant baby, and then like it shows like Immortal is like the new leader, and I'm like, where's the rest of the Guardians? Because like the main guy Cecil like sent Invincible out, he didn't send the rest of the team. Like that, I don't know. It was just like kind of weird for me. I know they're following the comic, and I'm still loving it. Again, I'm on board, but like these are
yeah.
just little things that kept
Like, why
popping up
wouldn't
in
you
my
send
mind. Yeah, like why wouldn't you send the rest of the team? And I don't know. So those are just little things that kind of kept flooding in my mind, and I was like, stop. But it was just, it's there. It was there.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question. Just because we're getting a lot of superhero things, we're getting a lot of parallels, right, in terms of
Hmm.
multiverses and time and things of such. Um, there is this general idea of fatigue in the genre,
Mm.
with things like Gen V and The Boys and Invincibles and Marvel, kind of all in a very similar pathway, obviously showing it in different ways.
Yeah,
Um, with all of the parallels, with all of the differences that we've seen, what haven't we seen yet that that can still keep you kind of involved, whether that's like graphics or storytelling or those French tilts. And second question would be, what would make you truly fatigued with the genre?
It's a good question. It's interesting in that book, The Reign of the MCU, that I'm
hmm
reading now that we've talked about in the past. John Favreau compared it to this. He said in the 1960s, maybe
Sure.
1920s, one of
Wow,
those times, he
that's a
was
big
like
difference. It's a big difference.
something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
1700s.
But he was like, around this time, like cowboy movies were like the thing. He
Oh
was like, it didn't
yes.
matter what anybody put out. They're like, that movie was a hit. It could be, as long as it was like cowboy, and at that time it might have been cowboy and Indians, but like, these cowboy stories were it, and like people couldn't miss.
Hmm.
And what happened was people started bending the genre just a little bit, or putting their own little tweak on it, or putting their own like, I wish somebody would just do this with the character. I wish they would do that. And cowboy movies for the most part, like they're not at their pinnacle, but they never really went away. Like we
True.
still get a few cowboy stories. I mean, Yellowstone is just an updated cowboy
Oh
story.
man, Yellowstone's so
So
good.
I don't know if they ever go away as long as you have good writing and it's well acted. So if you
Agree.
have those things, it may never go away, and I don't know what's gonna make me truly fatigued on. I don't think superhero is a thing that you can be fatigued on. Like I think if you like heroic stories and you like people
Sorry.
overcoming invincible odds, like we see heroic stories in real life with sports and athletes.
Yeah, it's like
Like so
primal human emotion.
yeah. So I don't know if it ever goes away, but I think if they keep telling things in a similar way over and over again, I think it will become stale. So with that in mind, I think it's awesome that Marvel has tried to do new things and tried to explore, and some of them were okay and some of them didn't work at all. But I'm excited to see James Gunn's universe, and I'm excited to keep watching Invincible. And goddamn, like when we get into Gen V, like this is an incredible show, like one of my favorite shows I can say almost ever now. Like it was so phenomenally well done.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know if that's yeah, if Scott, you have an answer, but whenever we're ready, we can move on to Gen V.
Yeah, I'm just to piggyback that. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think fatigue for me only happens when the writing isn't that good, when it feels like it's kind of like a money grab. Um, but as long as there's good writing, and I feel like there's always some kind of property that lies within that realm of superhero, whatever, that that fits that, I tend to, towards that. I'll read that, I'll watch that, or like there's certain reason why certain characters are like have been popular for so many years, right? Um,
Yeah.
I could watch fucking Batman over and over again, no matter what iteration. Like a new
Yeah.
Batman could come out. I know if the writing's good, I'm fucking watching it, reading it, whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it comes down to that. Like tweak it a bit if you want, whatever. But as long as the writing's good and the love's there,
Mm.
yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, because it's like Batman's like Sherlock, or like Spider-Man even, or Hercules, like these historical characters we keep doing new stories with, or like a
Mhm.
slight tweak on it, and then people keep going to watch it because
Yeah.
I think the heart of the character is the thing that we want to like embody, and you know it can keep being updated for modern audiences.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just interesting those like archetypes like the warrior or the detective or the cowboy or
Hmm.
the
The Lone Ranger
the
or the
Lone
Shogun
Ranger.
or the
Yeah,
Ronin, it's
yeah.
like
Those
yeah.
are all yeah.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
with Invincible in particular, I'm looking forward to seeing what the whole relationship with his dad is gonna like. It's gonna pop up again. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
read it, so part of me wants to read it, and then part of me wants to just wait and enjoy it as I watch it. I'm
That's what I was
torn
gonna
every
say.
day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then they like any superhero universe, like the boys or Invincible, whatever, they always have their own little tweak type of thing they have with it. And I'm interested to see like what superhero, like what new powers pop up, what new type of villains pop up, how that all meshes and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like I'm a sucker for that. And this this whole Omni Man thing. He's like
Yeah.
fucking Superman Prime, whatever, Superboy Prime. Like I don't know how he's
Mm.
supposed to beat him, but he's gonna have to run into me eventually. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that.
Talk about jokes too. There's that part where like Jay Farrow plays Bulletproof. And remember, he like, we're introducing two new people to the squad, and they're like, "This is bulletproof." And then like Rexplode comes in, he's like, "Bulletproof? That's a little on the nose, right?" And he's like, "Rexplode, what did your like little like 5-year-old sister come up with that name or something?" Or, I don't know. He like
Yeah,
teases
yeah, he
shit
shut
out of
him
him,
down. Yeah,
shuts him down. Yeah, I mean, like the jokes are there are still good, and the voice acting cast, like all of them are tremendous actors in their own right. So then you bring them into like animation, I mean, just for that, I mean, you talked about Sandra Oh earlier. She's plays Stephen Ewan, Invincible's mom.
excuse
Zazie
me.
Beetz plays his girlfriend. I mean, yeah, yeah, and seeing how Mark has to deal with now that his dad's not his number one hero anymore too. Like he can't like in fact like his dad is his number one enemy. He went from the person he looks up to the most in the world to the person he's probably gonna have to stop more than anybody else. So it's a really crazy story, I think, from that aspect. So yes,
Yeah.
I think for
Yeah,
sure. But
and then the added pressure. He's young. The added pressure of like everyone's watching him even more now. No one really trusts him. It seems because they're like, you might be like your dad.
mm-hmm.
For any, I'm assuming any like young person coming into anything, you at least want people to like uplift you. Seems like everyone's kind of besides his mom and his close friends are like, like I don't know, I don't trust you. You could fuck up at
Yeah.
any moment. I know you're here right now to help, but yeah, I don't know. And you're just like, do I even want to do this? It could create some sort of bitterness. Eventually, he could be like, "Fuck you," then I'm gonna be like my dad, you weak fucks. Whatever. Like at
right,
any moment, he
right,
could just
right.
like turn.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep,
it's
yep.
interesting.
And yeah, it's good. All right, last thing, we quickly got to get into Gen V,
Let's do it.
the finale.
Oh
So,
fuck.
man, this was good. Again, this also picks right back up where the last episode ends. Kate has now killed Dean Shetty, and they're all just trying to figure out what the F to do and how to handle it. Kate goes full supervillain mode. in hand with Sam, and they decide to break all the kids out from the woods, and shit starts hitting the fan in like a very The Boys type of way. Man, everybody's getting murdered and slaughtered.
Yeah.
If you are sensitive to like school shootings and stuff like that, this is gonna be real tough to watch. But at the same time, God, if you've been loving this show, this episode delivered in every front for me. It just worked so fucking well. The team, you know, the Guardians of Godolkin or whatever they call themselves, the friends that we've been following all season, now get split up into two groups basically, and they kind of have to go head to head in a sense. And then from there, we get a lot of connections to the world of The Boys with Ashley, the new CEO of Vought, and then we get a very kind of crazy heavy cameo at the end with Homelander. And then if you stayed like halfway through the credits, you we get to see Butcher. So
Yeah.
man, this episode was wow. Yeah, what were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, talk about the shooting. It's like school face melting, school laser beaming, school like,
Yeah.
like supers taking on anyone. It's funny, like some of them were like, "Hey, are you a super? I won't hurt you," and then other ones are just like, "Laser beam everyone!" Like,
Right.
it's like no one was safe really. Um,
Yeah.
Freaking bananas. Um, it was a huge kind of twist at the end in the sense of like you're with you have the idea of like the show following these main characters that you're following being like the good guys, the ones that are going to come on top, the ones that are like, I guess I mean they are doing the right thing, but just like the Boys universe, they end up no one who is good gets like their justice, it feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
when home
So on that
yeah,
point, let me just say this real quick.
go for it.
Like, it just reminds me of Game of Thrones in that way. You know, where like the right guy doesn't always get to live. Like Ned Stark doesn't get to live. You know, like these kids are like, we're trying to be heroes. We're trying to do the right thing. And out of all the things they do, decide to sacrifice like their whole careers and possibly their lives to like be the good guys. It flips around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's funny, there are moments in this kind of like what you were pointing out in Invincible, like where you get taken aback and you're like, okay, I get it, like certain people are your friends or whatever, but like do you really want to stop this person? Do you not want to stop what's going on? Like there's a lot. Kate can only touch people and then make them do things. Fucking get Kate. Like there was certain points I was getting like Polaris dude who's literally just like slam her on her head if he wanted to. But he doesn't.
Yeah.
Or you
I
could,
know,
you know.
but like a couple episodes ago, he was just like they were just banging.
Yeah, I know, but
So
fucking dude, you're okay. Like mass murdering though, you want to stop? Like what's going on? Or like, or
yeah. I know. I was
okay,
surprised
so
he didn't just like wrap her up in like some kind of metal thing, but maybe he's
yeah,
he's
or
not as good as
something.
his dad. I
Yeah,
think
like
is
put
what
a
we're trying
blanket
to.
around her and zip tie that shit or something. I don't know. Like roll her in a
Yeah.
rug. Come on. What is it? But she did a good job. The writing and everything, they did a good job like making me really hate Kate in this episode, especially the way like they made the character flow and kind of do whatever she wanted. Like there was a bunch of times where she could have been stopped, and I think it made me hate her even more. I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
you. Like, so it's funny. Like I get that moment. I swear, like, when she was gonna reach and touch
Jordan.
Jordan.
Mhm.
And like her arm explodes, I literally was like, yes! Like I was watching by myself, and I was like, fuck you!
Okay.
Like
On
fuck you,
that
Kate.
note,
I was so
okay,
angry at her.
when
Yeah.
Sam walks in on the director guy
Yeah.
and he doesn't kill him, I was like, no, kill that guy. It's like, kill him.
Well, you know what's funny? That's hilarious. Because I thought he was gonna die, and I'm like, oh, he's not gonna be in The Boys anymore. Like I kept thinking, like he's kind of a funny guy that just pops up every now and then. I'm like, oh, is he just the end?
That's
Like, is
true.
the end of
But
him? And then he gets saved, and I'm like, what a fucking little weasel.
he's
rat,
become
dude.
almost. I mean, Ashley is too, but she's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, the boys Joffrey for me at this point. I'm like, that little shit deserves to die.
I know he was so close to.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that too. I was like, oh man, you, and then he
Yeah,
got
I
away.
know,
I'm
it's
like,
like,
of
kill
course
him,
you got
kill him,
away,
kill
you
him.
little shit.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but
I was
Yeah,
surprised because I mean the way they were zooming in on the hand, and they did such a good job of teeing it up all season of like Kate taking off her gloves, like with Tech Knight, like you're not gonna take off that glove, don't touch it, like I'll chop off your hand if you do that.
yeah.
Ooh, I didn't even realize that, and then her hand gets exploded. But like there were so many
Oh, that's
things
true. Yeah.
where they were pointing out like if she touches you, game over. You can't do anything about it. And then
Yeah.
that point where you see it slowly going towards Jordan, I was like, no. But, I did not expect her to blow up that hand, but I guess we should have because we saw it with the chick from the last episode who plays a senator.
For sure.
Or like
And
who's
it's
going to
like
be vice president.
if there's ever gonna be a instinctual reaction moment, that was that, right? Like her now
Yeah.
love interest about to get like messed up by Kate, and just like explode the hand. Like that's probably just probably right. I thought she was
Yeah.
gonna start giving people heart attacks. She gave
Oh,
that one
I
girl
didn't
a
think
heart
of that.
attack. Remember, I was like, oh yeah, it could be your thing now. Just like
Yeah.
the
She looked
silent killer.
surprised by that one, though. She was like, she kind of like, oh crap, didn't know I could do that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but there was a lot of things I felt like she unlocked about her powers in this episode too, where she was like, "Oh, remember I like did this thing to my parents. Like I'm gonna turn all the blood into like knives," and then she like
Yeah.
kills that one kid. Like she.
Oh, and then she could even she saw the invisible dude.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
by
Through his
sensing
heart.
like his blood, or yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
She
that
whacked
was
him
good.
hella hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was cool. So she explodes her hand, and I was like pumped. And then you see Homelander coming in, and then like it's funny. I'm like, I already know he's bad news no matter what. But then like
Right.
he's one of those dudes, and then he shows up, and
You're
then like
is he gonna help them? Is he
his
like
take on
gonna
the
do?
situation. I'm like, fuck this guy.
I know.
Like,
Yeah. It's just
oh,
like
you're gonna hurt your kind? Fuck you, dude. Like, I was so angry.
Yeah, man, Anthony Starr is amazing because he
He's
plays
so
like the
good.
most despicable, irritating. I mean, he truthfully is Joffrey, right? Or I guess
Yeah.
maybe he's Cersei in the whole situation. Like he actually has power, he can manipulate people, but he's such a dirtbag, like evil piece of shit. And at the same time, he's like one of the best parts of the show.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm like, man, he's actually gonna be like, on the good kid side this time. Nope, he's a piece of shit. Because there was a point too, and I love this. This is where, because I just didn't know which way it was gonna go, and I was like, maybe he's gonna be on their side, and then they're gonna like be on Homelander's side, and now they're gonna have the boys are gonna have to fight these characters that we love because Homelander's backing them, and then because of that, they back Homelander. And now the boys have to take down Marie or whatever. But it was
Yeah.
like, no, he's like, no, you're gonna hurt your own kind. What kind of animal are you? I
Yeah,
was like,
it's like
what?
what about the lady telling people to eat their own hands? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I
That was
know.
so despicable too. The more detailed she's starting to get with like the mind control things, like it really is tapping into like there's a difference between you getting taken advantage of and whatnot, and then you don't have to go about that. Like that's evil. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, she was just becoming sadistic, and I don't know if it was
Yeah.
because all those voices were in her head at some point, but yeah, it was getting intense in there, and God, they were just going back and forth. Andre with his dad, and his dad saying, you got to take over now. I'm out. You're in. All that was emotional, and that
And then
part
there's that.
where oh,
Yeah,
go
like
for it.
Andre, do we know if he's on the same path of his dad if he keeps using his powers? That's
Right.
probably on the back of his mind,
They
like all
kind
the
of
time now.
hinted at that, it seemed like,
Right?
right? Like he was
Yeah.
really struggling to bring the helicopter down, and that part was super cool. And yeah, but then there's a part where he like starts seeming like he's kind of like twitching and like blacking out a little bit, or
Yeah.
getting like really lightheaded, and it seems like he's in for the same thing if he goes down this road.
Yeah.
So I mean, what did you think about the Emma part, where she comes in to talk to Sam, and then she doesn't have to like purge herself, but at the same time, he
Oh
leaves.
yeah.
He kind of
So
flips on her, and I'm like, man, what a dick. He really. I get why he's doing what he's doing, like in the grand scheme of things, because he was tortured down there. But at the same time, I was like, you motherfucker! Like she was the only one that had your back, and now you're
Yeah.
just turning on her.
what I was wondering is like when she turned small after all that, I was like, oh, I wonder if her size is actually tied to like her emotions and not her eating. Like when she purges, it's like it seems like she hates doing it. She like hates everything about herself, whatever.
Mm.
It's like she's at her low, and then
So like when
um
she hates herself or when she's at her lowest, she gets small, and then
maybe, and
yeah,
then like I don't know, something about eating and endorphins. I don't know, maybe something
Y-
like that. So maybe when she
yeah,
starts, maybe it has something to do with like how she, yeah, maybe her emotions or something. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
yeah. Because they
Because
don't
she
explain
definitely
it, and
felt
that's the last time we
really
see her.
hurt right then, and then she was just like small all of a sudden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool. And now it's like, oh, cool. Now she can control her powers a little different. She doesn't have to eat and vomit all the time. But maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know though.
Yeah, I don't know
Hmm.
either.
Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that flip around, like, I get it, I get it. I understand where Sam's coming from in a lot of ways, but I'm like, you motherfucker,
But
like,
also, yeah, Sam, I'm like, fuck you, dude.
yeah,
He's like, you're selfish. I'm like, oh yeah, you're just like, of course
he
he's like the Hulk, and you don't want to say the wrong thing, he might punch your head off, but you're like, you're
right.
fucking a child, like a dumb child. Like
Mm-hmm.
super, yeah, just following
Teens.
Yeah.
whatever. So ridiculous. He
Hmm.
walked into one meeting and was like, sold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
an idiot.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Soup's lives matter. You're like, that was it? I
it's like,
guess it only
really,
takes
dude?
one time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
An idiot.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, I love him pairing up with Kate. Like, she really is one of the only people that can kind of give him the medicine he needs, which is like forget about all the like the bad shit in your past.
That
You
was another
know,
thing too. When she's like, feel nothing. I was like, you want to get a little more specific? Like, I don't
right,
know.
right. Like, is
I
that
half expected him to
physically,
just like rip her head off
emotionally?
after that or something. He's like, that was fun. Like, I don't know. Like who?
Right,
They feel nothing. He might have no alliance with anyone now. Like, what the hell? Like,
right.
I thought I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's bananas though, because she can definitely. It's like she can stim the Hulk into whatever sort of frenzy she wants. It's kind of like rage, and he's just like, "Rah," you know.
it's a good point.
And
Yeah,
then Sun's getting real low, big guy. You know, it's like
damn,
she can
good
do all the things.
analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Oh, it was so good. I'm blown away. They After all of this, Homelander does come down. He blasts Marie in the chest. Apparently, he takes out all of the heroes that we've been following, which is Marie, Jordan, Emma, and Andre. And they wake up in this basically underground prison cell slash hospital room with like no doors and windows.
yeah. But they had a TV. Did they see that on the TV?
Um,
Or
it's
was
a good
that us? We
question.
saw it and then we saw them wake up. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's what it was because we see how Homelander has spun the news into thinking that they were really the crazy kids that were attacking the school
Yeah,
rather than Kate and Sam and then letting all the other kids from the woods out. It's just showing how like Homelander is in charge of basically everything at Vought now.
yeah,
Or I mean, I guess Ashley's in charge, but she doesn't want to get on Homelander's bad side, so
yeah.
she
Really,
like,
Homelander can tantrum himself into anything he wants.
yeah.
But like you were saying, the mid credit scene, you see Butcher roll in to the woods,
Hmm.
and I forget his line, but it was nice to see Butcher again, and it made me think like, oh, is he gonna like, is he is he aware of the sickness that he can maybe
Yeah.
get, or like it's kind of
It's
exciting.
yeah, it was, and I think if you look back at the scene, there's kind of like that older white lady that, she calls after she meets with Dean Shetty, and she's like
Hmm.
on the phone with someone. I think she does, yeah.
Oh,
So I think
fill
she
in them,
calls maybe him or somebody in the
right?
boys. But man, I can't wait to see these characters pop up again. Like as soon as it ended, I was like, fuck, we gotta wait 2 years for another season. This is gonna be bullshit.
Is that when when's the boys coming out?
Well, the boys, I think, comes out next year. So maybe it's not true. Maybe we do see them sooner.
Yeah, because if this
But
directly relates to it, like it got me excited to like I guess kind of like when the original Marvel movies ended, and you're like, oh man, can't wait for Thor because they're gonna
yeah,
address this, like that
yep.
sort of thing. This continuum of like this story, it's cool. It's really connecting really well, and I'm excited for the boys, and I'm excited for Gen V, and
Mhm.
it's really cool. Surprisingly, worked so well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
They crushed it. Again, this has jumped way up on my board. It's gone from yeah, like, oh, this is a pretty good spin-off. Oh, it's a good show too. God damn, this is fantastic writing for me. It's acted well. The special effects are cool. It
yeah.
all just builds to this crazy thing, like you were saying. Like, yeah, it's like The Bear, Succession, and Gen V. I think is like my top three shows of the year. I don't see how watching anything could top this for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong, bold statements by the T-Man.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I do.
Wait till the new season of Santa Claus comes out.
Actually,
I don't know.
Oh,
I have no
Tim
idea if that's even happening.
Yeah. That might change everything, bro.
Yeah.
Let's
Top of
go.
the list.
I
Well,
forget
right
that it's
on.
the end of the year, basically. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
it's a
almost
pretty
Xmas.
strong top 3 right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Super good. All right. Well, yeah. Any other final thoughts? Closing words for this one?
If you have friends, definitely make sure you check on them consistently. You don't want them to Matthew Perry. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry.
Can't tell if that was nice or like messed up.
Well, to piggyback that, definitely check on your friends. Check in with loved ones.
Yeah.
And then tell them about the show, tell them to check it out. If you like
like,
it, they'll probably like
subscribe.
it.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Talk to us. We want to talk to you,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for
Well
tuning
said.
in.
Let us know what you guys thought about any of the shows we talked about tonight. Really are curious, and yeah, hit us up on socials, all the above. All right, you guys could say it. Say it in unison if you want. I don't care.
Thanks for
Thanks
sticking
for
it with
sticking with
us.
us.
God, that sounds like the worst echo ever.
Yeah, it was like a roll.
Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.